What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to the podcast. As you know, you probably see, I got my man James Driscoll back on with us again. I told you he'd probably come back. He's back. We're going to talk a little bit more on the personal side of things today. Talking about some real close to the chest stuff. So y'all tune in. Hopefully grab something away from either life stories, things we're going through or been through, and just journeys of like that. Because we have some crazy stories, just to be honest with you. And I don't know if a lot of people know. And so we'll touch on some of them today. It won't be all of it. I want to keep them somewhat short. I don't want you guys, I try to keep all these really short as much as I can. These videos will make it a little bit longer than the other ones that I do every day. But man, without further ado, kind of want to jump in and we're gonna talk about struggles, bro. Like things that we've been through, hardest moments, toughest moments, whether it be sports, whether it be life, whether it be what we're going through right now, whether it be lessons we've learned from the things we've been through, stuff like that. That's kind of where I want to go with the direction of this. So we'll kind of just lead off with the first question is, what would you say? I mean, we've had a lot. I know your story. We grew up together, like I said. What would you say the biggest struggle that you've had personally, that you had to walk through? And if you found a lesson from it, what was the lesson?
I think my biggest struggle that I've had is with my mom passing away. What's been 3 months maybe? So that's pretty fresh. I think right now, I was talking to somebody else about this, right now I'm kind of keeping myself busy. I'm allowing myself to feel it, you know, but I've been keeping myself busy. I think what I've learned from it though is when I first figured out, there were so many other things that I was worried about, and at that moment right there, I realized that none of it mattered. You know, it's like there's so many things we make so big, but they're really so small. And it sucks that I took a drastic event like that in my life to really realize that doesn't matter. But it showed me the importance of relationships. You know, it's like somebody could say, I'll give you $1 trillion, billion, gazillion dollars, or, your mom can come back. Which one would you choose? I'll choose my mom without even thinking about it, and it just shows me like money is not the value, it's relationships. With a relationship, I can still get money, but with money, I can't bring my mom back. So it just shows me just the value of connecting with people to really being, not with everybody, but finding people you can be vulnerable with and be real with, and they can help you grow.
Yeah.
It just showed me the value of like having great people around you and people to support you and people to lift you up. It's definitely been a struggle.
In those moments, like, this may be for anybody, and this could be my question too, is like in those moments when you have a family passing, a mom, a dad, a brother, a sister, what can other people on the outside that obviously that are not family, how can they support you best? Because I know it's got to be in everybody's mind of like, man, I feel sorry, but I don't know what to say. Like, how do I, you know what I mean? Like, that's got to be a question that goes through people's minds. Like, how can it be best supported, or what can they do to show love, or whatever? I mean, I know what I did with you, but I know, just kind of talk about that a little bit.
The thing about it is everybody's different, for one. So everybody, like, I think the important person for the person that is grieving to communicate what you need. But for the people outside, there's not much you can say, because everybody's going through different things, and some person's mom could die and your mom, but it's just it's a totally different situation.
Yeah.
So, for me, what I found is people who were going through or went through what I went through has helped me a lot. Talking to people whose mom passed away really helped me just to find that comfort and just that strength, kind of talk to them. So like, what was your process like? And hearing picking their brain and mind like that, that really helped me a lot personally, because one, it makes you feel like you're not alone, and maybe give you ideas that you can try to implement in your life to make this process easier. I don't think it's ever going to be easy, but it can get, and people say time heals all. I don't think it does. I think you just figure out how to maneuver with it.
And you have to deal with it. You can't just let time pass, right? And
exactly.
I think that's a big misconception too, is like time heals all. Time heals all only if you address it.
Yeah.
Like you address what's going on. Because you can just push it down, never deal with it. It don't heal nothing.
Exactly.
Because it's going to resurface at some point.
Exactly, in different ways. And I think, I got a big family, so everybody deals with this differently. We have 7 of us now, but it's like,
Oh, here that's 7.
When we were at the funeral, like I was in a point where I don't want to hug anybody.
Mm-hmm.
I know everybody's gonna want to hug me, but I don't want to be hugged.
Yeah.
And it's just like I was going to therapy with my girlfriend, and like kind of for that, and she was saying like it's so important right now to communicate what you want, and it might change from moment to moment. You know, one day you might feel like you want to be hugged, the next second you feel like you don't.
Mm-hmm.
You got to communicate that. And you know, I think it's really shown me how to be better communicator and to be able to be vulnerable and to be able to say what I need, like, hey, like, there's nothing to do with you, I just don't want to talk right now, you know, and that be okay, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and not take it personal.
Yeah, 100%. I think that is, I mean, no matter in those situations, but also just in life in general, it's a great lesson of like, I mean, what do you hear from everybody in relationships? Like, communication,
Yeah.
most important thing. And I think in hard moments in life in general, we have to communicate. And I think one, not only is it important, but two, the side of it when you're going through something like that, I mean, I haven't had anybody, well, my grandfather was close to me when he died, but family like mom and dad are still here.
Yeah.
But I can't even imagine, right, when someone's like, you know, like, it's like, hey, I'm sorry, like, what can I do? You know what I mean? And so it's just like, that's why I asked the question of like, man, because I know everybody's going to be different, right? Some people are going to come over and bring food possibly, or somebody's going to be like, hey, if you need anything, hit me up.
Yeah.
I'm going to come over, hey, let's just, because sometimes I feel like you said, you get busy, like you try to be busy. And so sometimes what you could possibly do, maybe this is somebody's like, hey, you know, I'm going to come pick you up. We're just going to go somewhere.
And I think the thing that, and this sounds kind of crass saying this, but it's like when everybody's reaching out to you, because I had a lot of people reach out to me and check up on me, but you almost want them to stop because they're not going to be doing that every day, and you're going to have to, you need to get back to your new normal. That's not going to be your new normal, people reaching out to you almost every day, seeing what's going on. Your new normal is kind of what I'm in right now.
Yeah.
You know, like, and I don't want to say I isolate myself, but I'm just very focused right now on what I want and what I want to do, and I understand what that takes, you know, and I think it's important to just, you got to go through those certain, you have to get back to your new normal as fast as possible, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because like I appreciate everybody who reached out. I think we've had great support. People bringing us food, buying us food, things like that.
Because when I reached out to you, it was more of, I mean, we were close. I was like, hey, man, let me know if you need anything. And that was kind of it.
Yeah.
And then I reached out later.
Yeah.
Because I know everybody's going to reach out to you.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like, we're not going to be able to just go hang out there. Like, that's not really what you want to, I would imagine. So I'm like, hey, man, I want you to know I'm here for you. I'm thinking about you, blah, blah, blah. And then when everybody would typically stop reaching out, that's when I wanted to reach out again and be like, hey, bro, what's going on? How you doing?
And that's who you also see, like, who's really there for you. You know what I mean? Because
good point. Yeah.
Everybody's going to reach. I got people I haven't talked to in God knows how long reach out to me like, well, I'm not going to lie, I forgot you existed. I appreciate it. Like, I had somebody, who is this? Like, you know, first of all, how did you get my number? I don't get my number out. And just like, man, it's you feel the love, but you also like, and this is just sad, bad to say, like, bro, we're not really even friends. I'm sorry.
Yeah, like you're not going to be there.
Yeah,
though.
you know what I mean. So it's like, I appreciate it, but you're not going to be there. Exactly what you said. So that was the hardest part for me, just understanding like this, like you guys are just messing up me from starting my process. People are never going to talk to me again. Probably you're hitting me up, and we don't talk. And it's like, I understand what you're doing, and I appreciate it, but like.
Yeah, and I think too, like girls and guys are different. I think maybe too. Guys, because we're focused, right? Like we won't, like when things like that happen, at least from, I mean, like I said, I can't relate to the parent passing, but like I want to, like, I'm not angry, but I'm upset, and I want to get back to like put that somewhere. Maybe girls need more consoling, right? Yeah. So maybe that might be a good thing for a girl. Like, hey, everybody reach out. Like, I want to know, like, I need more people.
Yeah.
And I feel like guys are like, I'm focused.
Yeah.
It's time, like, you know what I mean? Like you like, I don't know, but at least for your point being though, it's like, man, if in that situation, at least from what I've learned, because I've had not a lot, but I've had a couple of different friends have had really close people passing, whether it be brother, sister, whether it be different things. And it's the people that will stick around when everybody else gets quiet.
Exactly. Because
that's when they get loneliest.
Yeah.
When everybody leaves.
Yeah.
Because like, man, you get all these people here, and then it's like, back to where the world's like. Yeah. You know, and you kind of, but then where's the people at? Like, where's my people? Like, it should be, man, like, as bad as it's not bad, but as hard as it sounds, it's like if they have someone close to you in your life, make a commitment to keep up with that person for a year.
Yeah.
Because that year's got to be the hardest, right? And so, like, if you're going to do that and you're going to reach out, like, you know what? I'm going to check in on every month. Even if it's just a text or a call. Hey, man, how's it going?
Yeah.
What's good?
Yeah.
Anything I can do for you? Like, that right there, that consistency of it is like, man, that dude's got my back. If I really want to say something or waiting with someone to talk to, let's grab lunch.
Yeah.
Let's grab whatever.
Yeah.
That's all I mean. Like, but it shows you care. It's not like a checkbox, right?
Exactly.
Like, you can tell, you can read that.
And I felt that a lot, and a lot of people just like, oh, like I knew him, let me just hit him up, and
right.
I mean, and that's not saying it's a bad thing. That's kind of just where our relationship is. It's on a just like I need to hit you up basis, you know. But I don't know, man. It's just it's a difficult process for sure.
Yeah, and it's still fresh too. I get that. It's like at least 3 months, right?
Yeah, it's very fresh, but it's like you can't rely on yourself in that moment. You have to have something like God for me, my faith. If I didn't have my faith, man, I still remember the moment it happened. Like, because I wake up pretty early, and I was in D.C. at the moment, and Lauren, my sister, she texted me like, you know, I think you guys are an hour before us. It was like 3:58. She said, call when you get this. It's like,
dang,
this can't be good.
Yeah,
like,
sister doesn't text me this.
Yeah, she never texted me this in my life, and at 3:58 in the morning, and so I called her. She was like, "Mom died." I'm like, what? She's like, yeah, she didn't wake up. They tried to pump her heart, and no, she didn't make it. And instantly, I just started crying and just laying there on the ground, and it was the weirdest thing in my life because I felt like the biggest peace I've ever felt in my life. Just like I felt God, just like it's gonna be okay. And I just felt my mom's spirit, just like I'm gonna be with you still, you know. And that moment, that's when I knew I was gonna be okay. Just right when it happened, you know. And it's just my faith, you know. And I've been digging my heels so deeply in God and like being rooted in that. And that's the only reason why I'm able to even talk about this right now, you know?
Yeah.
Because it definitely still hurts, but it just, now my why is so big, I'm unstoppable now. And I think you have to be able to channel that pain and put into something positive. And I'm so focused. And I heard somebody, this is kind of a little off topic, but there was a girl I follow on Facebook, and she was just talking about just filling your cup first. Like, so many people will, you know, I'm gonna use this for example. I have a cup.
Yeah.
So this cup is halfway full. It's like you never pull out of your cup, never. You always fill your cup, and everybody people needs, it comes from the overflow of your cup, not from your cup. That's when you pull out of your cup. Eventually, this cup's gonna be gone. There's nothing in there.
Yeah.
So it's like you always pour in your cup, and the overflow, what people need comes from that. And I've really focused on that and making sure every morning my cup is full. So when people need me to do something or whatever, I'm doing it from a place of they're getting my overflow. You're not getting what's in my cup. This is mine.
Yeah.
You know, and it's really helped me to I'm feeling way more energized. I'm not doing something like, sometimes when my cup's full, I can't do that, bro. Like I need to, you know, recharge. Like, I can't do it.
Some time for me.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't feel like enough people do that. They
overextend themselves.
Overextend themselves, and it's like, giving is good, but there's such thing as giving too much. Sometimes you give too much of yourself and you have nothing left for yourself, and you're not giving your full self anymore. You know, and that's what people would rather you give your full self than give half of you, give, you know, a little bit of you. So that's really been my main focus.
Yeah, because I think too, going on what you're just saying is like it's the whole idea of like obviously givers gain, right? But that also applies to yourself, right? In order for you have to give to you.
Have to.
Right? Like for example, if you don't take care of your health, you're going to get sick.
Exactly.
Right? If you don't sleep, you're not going to, whatever. Like, so you have to give back to yourself as much as you are giving to other people. Because the thing is,
more.
Yeah. Because it's overflow, right? So your cup's got to be full.
Exactly.
And so when you constantly can get in that place where your cup's always full, it feels like you're giving to everybody. And that's probably what everybody's saying. But they don't understand, they don't see behind the scenes of like, man, that dude's like putting in the time with himself. He's growing himself. Like, there's that moment in those seasons where it's just a grind for you.
Yeah.
Because ultimately the best thing about like it's the whole thing they talk about on airplanes, right? It's like put the mask on first, then put this other person's on next to it.
Yeah.
Because you can't help somebody else that you can't help yourself.
Exactly.
Right? Like how am I supposed to help you if I can't even help me? Right? Like how am I supposed to help you with your finances if mine's in a wreck? right? How am I supposed to help you with my body if I'm out of shape? Like, right? So like there's how am I supposed to be there for you emotionally if I'm not even there emotionally?
Exactly.
Right? There's all these different things. So you're important. It's okay to be selfish with you sometimes, right? We think we can't, I'm being selfish. I got to stay home. I got to do my thing. Like, no, like that's for you. So that next time you do come out or the next day you come out or whatever later, you have something to give.
And that, in my opinion, that's actually one of the most selfless things you can actually do. Because now I can give you my all. I can give you everything, you know?
Right. But everybody's afraid to be by themselves, alone with themselves, and that's what scares them. And so because they have to face some of those things that they've been putting down a long time, that, dang, like, I got to deal with that. And those moments are great. I've had them myself. That's why I can say it from that place, is because there's a lot of things when I shifted from playing in the NFL to going into the business world, like that year was tough.
Yeah.
And it was like, you have to deal with all this identity stuff. You have to deal with all this, like, who am I really? Like, there's all these things you deal with. And you have to address some of that stuff. And you can get busy, but you can also, those things pop up. And when you're by yourself, you're like, I'm going to do anything I can not to have to think about that. And then when you start thinking about it, you start going through it, you become so much stronger. You can't even explain it. It's like you can't go back anymore. It's like you got it. It's like when you go down to the ground zero and you're just like, I can't get any lower.
Yeah.
I'm good. Like, you can bring everything you want against me. I'm all right.
Exactly.
I know all my demons. I know all my stuff. Like, I'm ready to roll. Like, nothing you can bring against me I can't handle because I've handled it all.
And I think that's like COVID exposed a lot of people. And like for me, I'm naturally a loner. I like.
So you're like, this is great.
I love being myself. So I was like, everybody's like, everything's changed. I said, what changed? I've been doing this.
I've been on this
life. I've been like by myself, and I'm okay with myself. I'm not saying like I don't have flaws, because I definitely do. I'm not saying like I don't get insecure in some things I do, but I'm saying like I just love myself, you know. And I think
one thing I'll say with that, bro, because before you go on to the next thing you say, is like, you can only love to the measure in which you love yourself. It's truth, man. In relationships, in anything you guys do, you can only love to the measure in which you love yourself. What that means, basically, if you're not getting it, is that, man, if I don't even love myself, if I don't talk positively over myself, if I don't look at myself in a certain way, how in the world do you expect me to look at that person, look at you, and be like, man, that's amazing? If I don't even see it myself, I'm going to look at you more in a jealousy way than pumping you up, right? Or speaking life into you, or whatever it may be.
But even more so, it's like, it's foolish to expect somebody to love you and you don't love yourself if you don't know how. Like, how do you expect me to love you if you don't know how to love you? It's like, show me how to love, you know? But if you don't know how,
if you're that person, it's just like, okay, then show me.
Exactly.
Show me how to love me. Like, and that's what the other person should be doing, and especially in a relationship. It's like, man, we'll have to get on a relationship podcast at one point. Or not same podcast, but relationships, I think is a good one. But yeah, just show them how to love. Some people don't know. Some people didn't grow up like that. That's okay. But doesn't mean you can't learn now.
Exactly.
Right? And so, but it goes back to like, in those moments, and like we talked about with your mom, is like, it's real. Like, love is real if you do it right. Right? It's a thing it's beyond what we can even fathom sometimes. And we kind of like when you can feel when someone's being intentional, when someone's being real.
Yeah.
It's because you can feel the meaning when you don't have to say it. It's like, I know he's a ride or die. He's good with me.
Yeah.
We're good. That's my guy.
Yeah.
And they don't have to say much. And someone outside's like, they may not get it, but the other person looking is like, I got you, bro.
Exactly.
And so I think it's a big thing, and we'll kind of transition into another thing too. Thank you for sharing that and being honest, especially so fresh too. Another thing too, like if we had to pick one, because obviously just to recap on that, right? It's communication, right? Was a takeaway from that. Obviously, there's a lot of the points inside that you can take away for sure, but kind of shifting a little bit of another struggle. Let's just say in life, in sports, or whatever it may look like, man, that you learn kind of, let's say, early on in life, like as you're in high school, middle school, whatever. Actually, what was the first lesson you learned that you still apply and still use today? From the first lesson, whether it be a sport, whether it be a coach, whether it be...
the golden rule, treat us as you want to be treated. That's what they teach. That's the first thing they teach you in school. You know, that's one of the first lessons that you truly ever learn.
Yeah.
You know, treat it how you want to be treated. So, that's kind of what I try to live by.
It's funny because it goes right into like love, right? It's what we just talked about. Is because if you want to be loved, you gotta first love yourself, right? And so you treat other people how you want to be treated. Well, if you want to treat other people that way, then you better treat yourself that way too.
And the world mirrors what you do. If you're sending out love, you're gonna get back love. You're sending out hate, you're gonna get back hate. It's just like whatever you're putting out there, you're gonna get back. And like so many times we get confused with like, why am I getting all this hate? Well, check to see in your life where you're sowing hate. You know, you reap what you sow, and people don't really
say that again. That's good, bro.
You reap what you sow. People are sowing hate in their life, and they're getting it back, and they're confused. But you've been sowing that, you know, not even realizing it, not even understanding that you sow those things that you get back.
No, it's fact. It's so true. Like that's a perfect point. Like, if you're listening to this, stop in the car, whatever, put on notes. Like, look at your life, assess like, what am I getting in my life from other people that I don't like? Because most likely you're giving that off somewhere. And so if you want to flip that, you flip the script.
Exactly.
It's the whole thing of like, it's actually a Bible verse, I forget where it's at, but it's like it's a concept of life. It's like, you want a lot of friends? Be friendly.
Yeah.
Simple. Exactly. Right? But we think, man, they're just not friendly. They're just not nice to me.
Yeah.
Why don't you be nice? Why don't you be friendly? Watch how nice and how friendly they become to you.
Exactly.
Right? It's because we all want love. It just goes back to the core principle of like, we all want that. So if someone treats me, I'm just like, oh, maybe I'll give a little bit of mine too.
Yeah.
Right? Because we're all these guards up. But if people come up to us and be like, you know, I'm super friendly, walks up to me, he's like, oh, how you doing? It's a pleasure meeting you. Like,
exactly.
You kind of give off what they're giving you.
Yeah.
If someone comes up and say, hey, man, what's up, bro? How you doing? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're gonna be like, and you're like, what's up, bro? Like, you know, you're gonna give back.
Are you okay?
Right. You're not gonna be like, what's up, bro? Like, you're not gonna do that. So, like, you do give off. You're gonna get back basically what you give off.
Exactly.
Good or bad.
Yeah.
Especially with hate and like judgment, whatever. Whatever that thing is for you, you're gonna get it back. That's why it says givers gain, right? Like if whatever you give, you're gonna gain it back in probably excess.
Yeah.
Right. And so like that's a way of life. It's another principle of life of like givers gain good things or gain bad things.
Yeah.
And so it's just keep cognizant of that when you're getting things that you don't like or life's giving you things that you don't want. Yeah, there's hard times or struggles in life that life just happens. That's not what I'm saying. But if they constantly are getting some of the same repeating things, it's like, man, where I'm obviously in the equation. So something I may be doing may be setting myself up for failure every time. If I'm getting the same result over and over and over, I'm like, at some point you got to be like, dang, like I'm in the equation every time, and it's not happening to everybody else. At some point you got to look yourself in the mirror and be like, okay, what do I have to fix?
Yeah.
Because most of the time our natural thing is to push it to somebody else or blame because we don't have to take responsibility.
Yeah.
If we don't take responsibility, we don't have to address anything.
Exactly.
If we don't have to address anything, we don't have to get uncomfortable.
Exactly.
And if we don't have to get uncomfortable, then I'm good. I'm just going to do me.
Well, somebody, I don't know who said it, but they're like, when you put blame on somebody, now you put the power in their hands to fix it.
Dude,
you
so
can
true.
no longer fix that.
So true.
So like, that's why it's so important to. There's always something that you did wrong. Whether you want to believe it or not, it could be the littlest thing. Maybe I delivered this wrong. Yeah, she was 100% wrong, but maybe the way I told her, you know, it was that way was wrong, you know. And
Yeah.
I'm reading a book. What's it called? How to gain influence.
Oh, how to win friends and influence people?
Yeah.
Dale Carnegie, that one?
Yeah. And it was talk about like we always feel like we need to be right. Like sometimes like in order to have a smooth conversation, a real conversation, like if you told me something, I'm like, you're wrong, that's not true. Like you're tight in the conversation.
You're
now.
defensive.
Like, yeah, you want to prove your point, but you're like, you know, maybe I was wrong. You know, I didn't see how you saw it. And now you feel more okay. Now
I'm gonna share my real feelings.
Yeah, no, I was wrong. Like I couldn't. You know what I'm saying? It's just like we're saying. Like you kind of mirror it, and it's not even being deceiving. You can always find something wrong you're doing. Just because I knew you wrong too, I'm not gonna say it. But,
right.
You know, but I'm gonna tell you what. I'm gonna take responsibility and say, you know, I was wrong. I should have done this differently.
Yeah.
I apologize. And now it's just a foundation of like openness instead of like tight. Like I gotta prove. Like because sometimes even if somebody delivers something wrong, even if you know you're wrong, you're going to still try to prove yourself right. Just because the way they deliver it, just because you just want to justify what you did because they're saying you're wrong. You know, I'm not wrong. You're wrong. You know what I'm saying? Instead of just being like, you know what, I was wrong, and then you're like, no, I was actually wrong. And then it's a real conversation.
Yeah,
you know?
It's not a battle anymore.
Exactly.
Like you're always constantly trying to see who wins, right? Especially, I mean, really in any type of relationship, whether you're in business, whether you're in an intimate relationship, whatever it looks like, brother or sister. Like it's funny because I've had instances where like in the middle of it, and once it's like toward the end, and you've like already back and forth, it's like, yeah, I knew I was wrong a little while ago. I was just trying to see if I could prove my point. It's like, no, come on.
Exactly, but that's
right?
how it is.
But it is, right?
Yeah.
But if you would have came to that point earlier, like, you know what, man, I actually didn't think about it. Like, imagine what would happen in a conversation, and it was getting heated, whether you're in a business deal, whether you're in a relationship, whether it's family, whatever it looks like, and you're just like, you're talking, you're going back and forth, like Norman's like, you know what, I'm not understanding what you're saying. Can you explain it so I can kind of understand? Maybe you are right. Bro, you think all of a sudden that person's going to be put on their heels and be like, wait. He actually trying to listen.
Exactly.
Because most people in conversations don't listen. They just want to tell their point. This is what I think.
Yeah.
And the problem with that is that you don't let someone else speak and come to the conversation. Because guess what? They want the same thing. Yeah. They want their point heard. They want their. So I always say it's like, if you can listen first, then, so the quote, and I forget, I've said it before, so I was like, dude, that's really good. And I always try to say how I said it before. But in order to be understood, you must first listen. Basically, I think I said it the other way around. It's like, you have to first listen in order to be understood.
Yeah.
Because the reality is that if I listen to you and I listen to your story, I listen to what you're saying, I listen to what you're trying to prove on this point, then the natural obligation is for you to have to listen to me. Right? So if I'm willing to listen, then if you don't listen back, I know it's one-sided. And I know that kind of where that's going to be, and that conversation can lead to other places, right? And I know that whatever it may look like you're dealing with. But most of the time, naturally, it's like if I give you a gift, you're going to give one back, right? It's just a natural thing. We all are human beings. If I listen to you, you're like, I got to at least listen for a little bit.
I mean, it's like what we were saying, that you reap what you sow.
Right. You want to give it back. And so if you first listen, and then you'll be understood. And when you both can understand, you guys can come together. Because most people are not so far left, so far right. Like they want their reason for a reason.
Yeah. Right.
But if we understand each other's reasons, sometimes they're a lot more similar than we realize. Mm-hmm. We want the same things, but just different words, different shapes, different size, but it's all the same. Because we're all similar.
Exactly.
So it's an important point. I think. I know we kind of diluted on a lot of different things or not diluted, but like moved away from some of the things we're talking about with struggles.
Yeah.
But it goes back to that first point you made. It's communication, because it does. Like you give off what, and you said earlier when you're like, I have to communicate with them in order for them to communicate effectively with me.
Yeah.
Right? It was what you had to give off of like, I'm telling you what I need.
Yeah.
And they're going to give you what you need.
Yeah.
Right? But you have to first let them know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's we're going back to the question of like, you actually answered it, but another question I want to ask you is, from the transition, or I guess in sports, what was the biggest lesson that you have taken away that you've been able to apply with life in general? Just the biggest lesson from sports and being around it and being involved in it at a high level.
I wouldn't say it's the biggest lesson, but I say this one is highlighted. I think it's okay to not know what you want to do. You know, I feel like we all look at social media. Oh, he's doing this, he's doing that, he's doing this. It's just staying in your lane, you know, staying focused on you and not really worried about what other people's doing and figuring it out. You can blossom on your own time, and it's okay. It's okay if you're not where you thought you were going to be when at this point, or there's not. We make that up milestones. When you're 30, you need to be here. When you need to be married, you need to have that. We make that up. Yeah. That's not real. That doesn't matter. Everybody has times when they get married or when they do this, when they do that. It's no timetable on success. There's no timetable on who you want to become, who you want to be. And I think we get so fixated and we think like, if I'm not here by this age, I'm a failure. If I'm not doing this by this age, I suck. You know, and that's just not true. And the problem is not enough people are vulnerable and look. I don't know what I'm doing either. You know, everybody's trying to act like they have it all together. And
and you realize everybody's trying to figure it out.
Exactly.
Too, yeah.
And I'll be the first to say I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just out here trying to.
I'm trying to figure it out too.
Trying to figure it out, you know, and it's like not enough people are saying that though.
Yeah,
you know?
and that's the problem. That is a problem because now what everybody thinks, especially from people that say in a spotlight, they're looking at them and it's like, bro, they just got it all figured out. Maybe I can't do it, right? Because they think they got it all figured out. But it's like you don't know. Sometimes it's like. For example, it goes back to that point. It's like, I'm constantly coming up against something I've never done before. Mm-hmm. So I don't even know how to do it either. Mm-hmm. But I'm going to take all the things I've learned to try to apply to this one or find other people that do know. So like the skills and how to approach it is what I take away from what I've been through. Mm-hmm. But we're all coming up against things we've never been through. you've never been through some of the situations, the struggles that you've been through until it happens.
Exactly.
Same thing for me.
Exactly.
And so now what's cool about that is you start surrounding yourself with other people that have been, they can help you along that process. That's why environment is so critical.
Exactly.
But it plays a huge point in that, for sure.
But I think the problem, like, social media can be one of your, like, as a business person, I feel like you need to be on social media if you're not.
Yeah.
As just a regular, just civilian, all of us, like even my civilian side, like I don't get on social media to look at what people are doing because people are going to take a picture, people are going to post, I got my first apartment. They're not going to post, I got evicted. You know, they're not going to post, I got my new car. They're not going to post, oh, my car just got totaled. You're not going to post that stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like,
you're catching highlights.
Exactly. And I remember I had a friend who was looking at her friend's Instagram and just like, man, look at her life. Like, it looks so, like, she looks like she's doing so good, like, whoop-de-whoop, all this stuff. She talks to the girl and she's just telling them how much she's struggling right now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's like, the conversations behind social media is what we need to focus on.
Yeah.
You know, and not looking at social media is because so many times we think everything's all peaches and cream, but it's really not.
Yeah.
But that's okay.
Right,
You
exactly.
know, that's okay.
Yeah.
And I think we don't think it's okay to not know what we want to do, to not be where we want to be, to not know. It's okay, you know, and it's like,
because otherwise you're dealing with the whole game of perfection, right? Because you have to have it all figured out. You have to know exactly what to do. You have to know, has to be, you know, cookie cutter, this, and this. And that's not always how life works, right? Because the fact of the matter is perfection doesn't exist, right? It just doesn't. But practice makes permanent. So like you constantly creating a character, whatever it is, whatever you're going after, creates a permanent effect of your life and like what you're doing. But it doesn't mean you're perfect because you're gonna mess up. And if your gauge is always perfection, you're gonna be always upset. You're just gonna be upset for a lot of reasons because you're like, man, I'm just not getting what I need to get, blah 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 blah. And it's gonna actually slow you down, right? And if it's gonna slow you down, then ultimately where you're trying to go, what you're trying to do, what you're trying to become, you're gonna get in trouble. You're gonna make yourself have to deal with something that you really don't have to deal with. And one of the things you mentioned, and I want to kind of go over too, is with social media. Is like social media is an amazing thing. It truly is, right? It allows us to be connected with other people that would never be connected. It allows me to, you know, me, you, businesses like operating on there, getting in front of more people than you realize. All of that is such a huge blessing, right? And so when you do that effectively and use it for what it is, and not use it as a place to like, I'm jealous because I'm looking at them and like I'm coveting what they have, right? Like I'm not gonna covet what they have. It should inspire me, if anything, right? Like even if they are dealing with on the back end, like that's something huge, right? That you want to have, and the relationships matter on there. But if you're looking at somebody, like if you use social media as a fact of like, that person inspires me, that's what I want, I'm gonna go get it, right? I'm gonna go become that. I'm gonna go be that version of myself because I see if I'm craving that, if I want that and they have it, then it should motivate me to want more of it, right? And so if it is motivating me to want more of it, it's not that what they're doing is bad or what I'm looking at it. I just need to change my perspective. We're looking through the wrong lenses, right? We're looking through the lens of, now it goes back to give. It goes back to what you give off, right? It's like if you're giving that off, what do you think is going to be coming back towards yourself? But you're shooting at your own self. And so utilizing social media from the fact of like, one, you're seeing highlights, right? You're not seeing, the problem with that too, another point is if you're only seeing highlights, if you're only seeing the fact of like them winning the Super Bowl, them, you know, here, them doing that, them, you know, getting in a nice car, you forget and you don't realize all the work that was put in to even get those, right? To get that stuff, to make it happen, right? And if you're not getting those things in order based upon mentally, bro, you're setting yourself up for failure, you know? And so I think that's a big thing we have to understand always is that whether you're looking at social media, whether you're looking at your friends that you know personally, whether you're looking at really anything, you have to look at it through the right lens. Because if you're not looking through the right lens, what ends up happening is now you're setting yourself up for failure mentally because you're having to go through something that ultimately, in all honesty, you shouldn't have to deal with, right? Think about back in the old days, like you didn't have social media, you didn't have to prepare that, you were just doing your thing, right? But the reality now is we can use that as an advantage because the thing, actually, I don't remember who it was. I think it was maybe 10T when I was growing up. But it was always like, whatever that quote is like, you think you're working harder, there's probably someone out there working harder. Right, but now we get to see it. Right, but we see the highlights too. We don't see behind the scenes, which can make it a scary thing too. It's like, we take people for granted. Like, oh, we just see them working out then. We just see them doing that. But at the same time, if we do see them working out, we get to see them working out. It's like, hey, bro, I got to put in my grind.
Yeah.
I got to keep going. They're doing this. They wrote a book. Oh, I want to write a book.
Yeah.
Like, it should motivate me, not put me down.
Yeah.
And I should be in an environment where it puts me up, right? Like, we have to start utilizing social media in a positive way, because I think what happens, right, is that not to say, and not to go counter to what you're saying, because I think what you're saying is important, but I think we give social media a bad rap because we're involved, right? Social media is not the problem, it's the people using it.
Yeah.
And the people that are taking the perspective away from it.
Exactly.
Right? So it's just like, dang, like, it's not necessarily social media, it's my view on that. It's my perspective of how I see that person. Oh, they're just posting all their wins. What, do you want to post all the losses?
Yeah.
Does that motivate them?
Yeah.
Like, if I just start telling you all my losses every time I met you in person, you'd be like, dang, like, bro, I want to hang around you. Just bored. You're just, I feel awful, right?
Yeah.
The same thing like on social media. I'm gonna post all my wins.
Yeah.
Same thing we do in person. Now everybody can see it.
Yeah.
So it's no different, but yet we get to see more of it. So we just get consumed by it.
Yeah.
And what happens is we start beating ourselves up naturally instead of putting ourselves in an environment where it's encouraging. Like, you want to find people like, I want them to post their wins. Why? Because it encourages me to win too.
Yeah.
But as soon as it goes bad, as soon as it goes to the other way, then it's dangerous, right? Because now you're fighting your own self. And it wasn't their doing. It's not like they posted like, hey, you know what? Guess what? Try to level up. Like, it's not how they're really doing it. Some people may.
Some people do.
And I get that. Like, and not everybody's in the same mindset of that. But I think for the majority, it's just like, man, I'm celebrating.
I'm proud of myself.
Exactly. And so I can look back in a year from now, or my kids, if they ever go through my social media, be like, dang, that was cool.
Yeah.
Like, he did this, and this, and they can see it. You know, it's a cool thing to see.
Yeah.
It's kind of like you writing a journal or you like a little photo book.
It's like documenting things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if you view it a different way, it comes with a different perspective, and it comes with like the outcome's different. But there is the other side of it too, right? It's like people can post, and you don't. That's why it goes back to like really truly caring about people.
Mm-hmm.
Because just because it looks highlights and glam and, you know, fashion and all that stuff, it don't mean they're not a real person.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean they don't go through struggles.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean they don't deal with hard things.
Yeah.
Right? Someone may be dealing with parents or family dying. Someone may be dealing with changing career, how to figure out what they got to do.
Mm-hmm.
Someone may be dealing with their kids sick. I don't care how famous you are. You still have to deal with all that.
Yeah.
Right? You know what I'm saying? So, like, there is the idea of, like, but now, guess what? I can connect with them. I can hop on a FaceTime. I can hop on a whatever and be like, bro, I'm here for you. I need you. What's good? You know what I'm saying? So, like, there's so many good things from it, but at the same time, I do understand that aspect is, and you just have to be careful how you look at it, I think.
Yeah, it's perspective is everything.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's a game changer in all facets of life. But, man, I've never done this before, but is there any questions? Because usually when I'm interviewing somebody, I'm just asking you, like, what? Because I want everybody to know you, and I want to kind of lead the conversation anywhere. But I know we've hung out for a long time. We've grown up together and whatnot. Is there any questions? It may be good. The reason I'm asking just for me and myself, it's more like people that I don't talk about myself all the time either.
Yeah.
And so, like, when people ask me questions, maybe people find out more stuff about me or a question you've always wanted to know or whatever. I mean, we talked a lot. So is there anything, I'll leave it with this for the last question or last little segue. Is there anything that you've wanted to know or a question you won't even ask me about what we were talking about today that you think would be good, that you maybe heard me talk about before or that I didn't touch on? If not, no big deal. I just want to leave it open for it.
So with the NFL, do you feel like there was more you could have done to make it work, or do you feel like you gave it your all?
That's a great question, bro. So what I had to come to peace with and come to grips with is two-sided to that. One, I was at peace that, because, and like yourself, I worked freaking as hard as possible. Like, 13-hour days, just training, doing everything I can. So I know I did everything I possibly could do on that, which gave me peace, right? It gave me a lot of peace. But at the same time, the extreme ownership side of me is like, no one else was in the equation but me.
Yeah.
Right? Obviously, other people, scouts, finance, like something that didn't make it. Like, when I trying to come back from the injury and stuff like that, finance is just like, they would have paid $1 million to let the guy go, just even if they liked me more.
Yeah.
Things just didn't work out.
Yeah.
So it was out of my control for sure.
Yeah.
Right? Those are the hardest moments when you're out of your control.
Yeah.
But yeah, you gave everything you got, and you still can't control it.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah.
And so I think for that, it took time. It did take time. It was not like man, I get everything I got, I'm good. Like it did not happen like that.
Yeah.
It was years of process.
Yeah.
Years of getting to the grips of like, okay, all right, that's good for today. That tomorrow I'm dealing with a different thought process.
Yeah.
Dealing with coming again. It's like, but what if I would have done like that whole side of you, which I think is what makes people, me, you, anybody that's a high performer, that's what makes them a high performer.
Yeah.
They're always looking for that thing. They're always looking for that next, like, what could have made me better? What could have made me a better version of myself? What could have allowed me to step up to the next level of that, right? What could have done that? And so I think it's important to understand that you have to what's going on, my man? We're good. Yeah, we're good. Yeah, thanks. Appreciate it. But yeah, I think you have to understand, like, that's what it's all about. Like, if you understand, like, because we want to change everything, right? We all want to change it. No matter if it's worked out or it hasn't, we want to change it. Like, we want to, like, if it didn't work out, right? Our next thought as a high performer is like, man, what could I have done differently? Like, you're probably thinking about that before it's even over, right? If you kind of start to sense, like, how do I fix it? Like, your constant mind's going there. But when it's actually over, it was like, dang, like, I can't go back and change anything, though. Like, I can't go back now and change it.
Yeah.
Like, so I'm going to have to deal with what it is now.
Yeah.
So it was tough. It was hard for sure. And I think that was something I had to deal with for sure.
Yeah.
But that's how I answer the question. Does that answer kind of your point?
That answers it for sure.
Anything else? He's got that thinking face. I know he's got a question. Any type of question, bro, for real. If not, like I said, we're good.
So, how do you handle conflict in your relationships?
In all types of relationships?
Yeah, in your romantic relationships, with friends, like how do you go about handling conflict?
Yeah, I think it's different with. It's a good question too, man. It's a deep one. Like every type of relationship is obviously different. So you have a business relationship handles differently than personal relationship, family, and then intimate relationships. All different. Concepts kind of the same, right? But different. And every person's different. So like you have to know that and how. I mean, it goes back to understanding that person because it goes how to win friends and influence people. It's understanding like where they are, understanding their side of things. I think for me, the way to handle conflict is the first thing is to listen first because I know what I'm handling, right? If I don't know what I'm handling, how am I supposed to handle it, right? So if there is a conflict, it's usually a disagreement or there's usually something that someone's not understanding most of the time.
Yeah.
So if someone's not understanding something, then it's my job, at least I believe, to figure out the misunderstanding and then bring apart or bring it together wherever it needs to be brought.
Yeah.
So if we're in a disagreement, let's just say, and one of us isn't getting it, maybe you, maybe me, then I'm sitting there either listening or asking questions to get an answer that I need to get to make sure, because maybe sometimes the person's not explaining everything, that they're dealing with something that they've been doing for years, and they're just telling you like, I just don't like it.
Yeah.
And you're just like, why don't you like it? You know what I mean? Like, it's a great deal. Or, like, I don't understand. Like, why was that a bad thing?
Yeah. Like,
it could be like something simple in an intimate relationship. It's like, why'd you open my car door for me? What do you mean? Why would I not? Why you don't think I'm a woman? I'm a strong, independent woman? I'm like, what? Like, but when you start to understand like where they're coming from, but you have to ask questions, you have to listen, and you're like, I get it. Now let me tell you why I do it.
Yeah.
And now the person's like, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
That means a lot. And so, but you don't get to that point until you listen, you understand where they're coming from, and then now you explain like why you actually do it or why you're doing it. In a business deal, same way. It's like, okay, tell me what like your struggles or what you're dealing with and why you don't think it's a good idea. Because they're going to tell you everything, or at least they'll try to tell you some of it.
Yeah.
And just being honest. It's not trying to like be sleazy and sell them. It's just like, bro, I want to make it happen. I know you want to. That's why you're even here.
Yeah.
And so like, how and why you feel that way. Let them talk. And then now you know where you're coming from. And if you can't help them, you already know from the get-go that, man, you know what? Actually, it's probably not a good deal for you. Like, you can be honest with them. But if there is something to listen to, because sometimes in those things it's excuses or it's bad perspective or different perspective. And you're just like, you know what? Actually, if you think about it this way, and then when they say it, like, you know what? You're right. Things shift. And it was just a change of way of perspective. Yeah. Sometimes that's all it is. There wasn't really a disagreement. You guys were just seeing the same thing differently. Yeah. Because we're different people. Yeah. So, I mean, that's how I try to deal with it. That's why I always say, in order to be understood, you have to listen first. And I think it goes into conflict, goes into conversations, it goes into anything that we do, because, man, life is a sum of conversations. It really is. Relationships are all conversations.
Yeah.
And if we don't know who we're sitting across from, if we don't know what we're dealing with, you can only go to a certain level and a certain depth of that relationship. We truly take time to get to know that person, which usually only comes from listening.
Yeah.
I can tell you everything about me, but I don't know anything about you.
Yeah.
What's the natural response is, think about this. Actually, it's funny, and I'll end with this because I know we're probably going long on how long this is, but in a conversation, if you walk away from meeting someone for the first time, say it's a first date, and you take away, they both walk away, you're going to have two different thoughts, right? One, if you guys have good conversation, right, great. You guys are both walking away, great. But if the person is, let's say you're the person that's the talkative person the whole night, I'm just asking questions, I'm intrigued, I'm like, dang, that's awesome, dude. What about that? You're going to walk away and be like, man, that was awesome.
Yeah.
Right? Because you got to express yourself.
Yeah.
You have to tell everything about yourself. I walk away, I'm going to have a different perspective. I'll be like, I got to know them. I get to grow deep with you, and you walk away with someone like, dang, like, they were really interested in me. Like, you have a great night. Yeah. Same thing, I can have a great night too.
Yeah. But
if you ask me all those questions, I'm gonna be like, dang, like, because it's just one of those things. Like, you were like, oh, like, they were getting me. They understand me.
Yeah.
And we're all looking for people to understand us.
Yeah.
And so, like, in a first, here's some helpful hints for dating. If you're going on a first date, man, ask questions, be intrigued. Don't be fake. That stuff's cheap, bro.
Yeah.
Don't do all that crap. But, like, honestly, be genuine. If you're not, be yourself and just be like, oh no. You know what I mean? But if you are, be that way. It's transparent. It's honest. But they walk away. If I'm a guy and I'm asking a ton of questions and I'm actually intrigued, I'm asking a question off a follow-up question off a follow-up question, I can't think that stuff up. I'm actually intrigued.
Yeah.
So when they walk away, it's like, man, like, that was great.
Yeah.
And you feel like you feel like they don't even know you.
Exactly.
Right? But they feel like, I'm understood.
Yeah.
I get it. And then you're walking away like, I think she knows my name. You know what I mean? But that's how you get, hey, man, like, you want to go on another date? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, because they feel like you care.
Yeah.
And it's not, like I said, this is not sleazy. It's just naturally what I want. Right? And there's moments where the next time they're probably going to want asking you all the questions.
Yeah.
And that's what you want. You want someone that's intrigued by you too. And that's where it goes. But I have to first give in order to receive that. If they never come back and ask questions about me, that's a red flag for me.
Yeah.
In the dating situation, it's like, first date, I'm like asking questions, I'm getting to know all of them, and then they're asking me questions. Yeah. Third, fourth, fifth, they don't want to get to know me. I'm like, yeah, but it ain't gonna work.
Yeah. Because
you don't want to get to know me.
Yeah.
We're forever not gonna get to know me personally.
Yeah, exactly.
And you don't have the balls to ask me, like, hey, man, like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, like, those could be easily red flags of, like, they don't care about me. That's where you get to that point.
Yeah.
But it comes with really just, it's the communication piece of just really wanting to listen. So that's what I would say. Long-winded, but yeah. Cool. I appreciate the questions, bro. Dude, I haven't got the chance to do that. I love getting to do that. I love answering questions. And sometimes I don't get to talk like that. Especially when I'm interviewing someone, I want to get to know them. It's the whole thing. I want to listen. I want people to listen to you, like, write you on, all this kind of stuff. And I don't ever get a chance to have someone, ask me. And I always want to just leave a space for it, not because I'm like, oh, cool, like, yeah, talk to me. Yeah. It's more of like, things that people are things that I wouldn't even think to. I would never think to talk about that. Yeah. But you bring it up, I'm like, actually, in a situation, I'd probably do this. Yeah. And it can hopefully be somewhat pivotal. Maybe you make it a second date after this one moment, right? Or a first date goes well just because of that great question. So, guys, thank you again for tuning in. It's truly a lot of fun getting to do this, especially with a good friend of mine. And if you guys want him back on, comment below. I'll bring him back on. He's a good dude. Questions and things like that. But keep tuning in to all the podcasts. Keep liking. Subscribe if you have not subscribed. But look forward to seeing you guys in the next one.
Peace.
Love it.